Hello and welcome back to Canvas and Pixels by Next Layers. This is going to be a quick tip. Are you ready? Let's do this. Welcome back. So one of our colleagues got in touch with a question regarding bleeds when he's working on his company profile. I need you guys to look forward to how to design company profile in Adobe InDesign. It's one of the recordings I'm working on now. But to address this issue, I wanted to address it in two ways. This person is using Photoshop. I will prefer to use Adobe InDesign because it will be easier and it will be faster to get things done there. So let me show us quickly approaching it from Photoshop first. All right, so I open my Photoshop and then open a new file. I'll click new and then go to print. Because he is using A4, all right, I'll select A4. My unit of measurement will be in inches because that's the one I'm most comfortable with. I want to save this width and height, all right, just to show us some things. And then save the height. All right. Now, he mentioned in his question that he wants to add a bleed of 0.125 round, which is a very, very good one. So how do we add that? Now, in planning your profile, you have to have started with bleeding. Yes, that's how to do it. You plan your bleed with your design. So that's the first way to start. So I'm going to introduce a bleed of 0.125 to this document before I open it. So I will add, I just press my addition key and then 0.25. When I jab my tab, that has been added to the width. Let's do the same thing for the height, plus 0.125. All right, and I press my tab. This is when I can now say create. What we have created now is a document with a bleed of 0.125 round. How do I prove that to you? I'll create another layer. All right, I just want to color it black. That is Control Delete. All right, don't forget that I kept this. I kept it for a reason. So I'm going to copy this to the width and the height again. So when I got to the properties, I noticed that the properties is in pixels. If you look at it, but I told you I know how to work in inches. So how do I resolve this? I'll press Ctrl R, all right, and then get to my ruler, vertical and horizontal ruler, right click on it and switch to inches. Both are in inches now. Now if you notice, we have inches, all right. So I'm going to subtract minus 0.125, all right. And you notice that because this chain is selected, it applied to all the sides. If this chain is not selected, it will be applicable to only this one. Look, this is the way I get to know. Look at it. All right. 693 is the same thing as 6.4 technically. All right. So I want to position this to the center. I will click and then select the second layer, and then I can do this. Now, what we have succeeded in doing is to create our bleed, all right, around the shape. Now, for us to know that that's our bleed and we must not go beyond that part, I'll bring out my ruler guide. All right. Yes, I'll do that. I'll do this again, and then I'll do this. Now, I can knock off the black. Let me give this another color so that it can be more visible. What I did was to press alternate delete. I want to make it a bit darker. Okay, alternate delete. Okay, so I believe you can see the guide and the background, but that is not all. That is not all. What we have done now is to add a bleed. The next major problem is that you need to have margins inside this project. Oh yes, so let me show you. If I want to create a margin, no, look, a margin is the distance between your text and the edges of the book. It might be a book, it might be a brochure, it might be a magazine. You just have to understand that you have to keep these spaces there. Number one, the space will allow your customer have a place where they can hold either the magazine or a book without necessarily interfering with the text. All right. Number two, which is the thing that is bothering him, your text will not be cut off. Oh yes. Look, when you get to the printers and the printers, you didn't give them any form of bleed and you brought all your text to the edges, the printers will trim them off and it will not be their fault. I'll press Ctrl T, hold down my alternate key and then drag like so. All right. I'll press enter to release it. Now, I wanted to check what's the distance between this line and this. I think I can use, where is that tool now? Not you. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. All right, I'll just click here. And this width is showing 0.67, which is not bad, but I would like to take it to 0.7. So I will unchain this and then change my width to 0.7. All right. When I do that, look, I will click on this layer and then do Ctrl T to transform again. Hold down my shift because I want one side to be adjusted per time. All right. I will click on this layer again. What I did was to do Ctrl and select and then move it to the other side. Ctrl plus to zoom. I will move this to the beginning of the page. Don't forget that where we have this line is the beginning of this page and the remaining one is just my bleed. I will click on this layer. That's Ctrl click, Ctrl T to transform, hold down my shift and then move this portion. I'll press OK and then Ctrl 0. Now the space at the top and at the bottom is determined by where you want your numbering to be. If I want my numbering to be at the bottom, I will go to this black layer, Ctrl T, and make sure that I have about 0.7 space up there too. You know, we can use this to confirm. Let me change the color of this. All right, so that we can see it. I will move it up here. That means Ctrl plus, and then I will, all right, double click and then start from where the margin the paper ends, not the bleed. All right, so this is showing me where I should have all my text starting from. So I go to the black layer and then just move this, just increase it till it get to that red. All right, but for my bottom it has to be slightly higher than 0.7 and the reason is very simple. I'm bringing some other element there. Maybe I want a footer, I want numbering, so I'm just going to click. I'm going to click on the black layer and then Ctrl T to transform, and then if I want, I can bring it up to it so that my numbering will be around here or around there. We still have enough space to cut in, or you move it slightly up a bit. All right, the idea behind that is when I bring out my ruler, my text stops there, my numbering is starting here. All right, that way we have kept our 0.7 all around the edges, and then I'll bring this out. I'll bring this out too. Look, what we are doing now is so important. Once you skip this step, you are likely going to struggle all through. Ladies and gentlemen, what I've succeeded in doing is to show you, number one, margin from your page to where your text should stop, and then we have introduced a bleed all around of 0.12, and then we have created this black portion where your text and your graphics should be. I understand that sometimes you want to have something like this where maybe your image is flowing like this. That's okay. All right, maybe you have image and you want it to flow all through the background like that. Oh yes, that's absolutely okay. All right, that won't stop anything. If you check what we have done now, after your trimming, everything will still be fine. Now, my second approach to this is to show you how this is done in InDesign. Stay with me. Let me show you quickly. So, if I'm asked to choose which software I will use to do a brochure, I'm definitely going to choose Adobe InDesign. And the reasons are not very far-fetched. Number one, my text will come in vectors. It is easy to manipulate. I won't have to bother myself about numbering. I won't have to bother about so many things. I just wanted to show you a project I'm working on currently, and I'm going to do a class on this project. I'm definitely going to do a class on this project. We will build it from the beginning to the end. I just want to show you a sneak peek into what you should expect. This is like what the man is talking about. This is an annual report, actually. All right, and you see the way things are approached here. I mean, you could achieve a lot here, and you will so much love your results. What is asking for? If you see the way I've done this, you could see this red line. That is my bleed. I start designing with my bleed from the beginning. So let me show you quickly how I did that. All right, I will open a new file, and I want print. I will say I want A4. Fantastic. A4 is selected, and I can switch my unit of measurement here. Look, I don't need to add my bleed to that place. InDesign is so good that if I need a bleed, I will just come here. All right, and add 0.12. Now you notice that bleed is applicable now to the 4 sides. The reason is very simple. This chain is locked. Once this chain is locked, you are telling InDesign to apply the number to everything. All right, and so when I click create, look, very easy. You have it all around immediately. My next question is, how do you adjust your margins in InDesign? For InDesign, you go to your master page. All right, go to layout, margins and columns, and then we can adjust anything. We don't need to go through the stress of creating layers the way we are doing in Photoshop, which is another reason I will use Photoshop for this kind of thing. The third reason I will not use Photoshop for annual reports or brochure is that I will have to do it in Canva mode, not in page mode. You know, in this case, you could do spread and then see everything that you are working on in a long document, and you can move in between the pages. But Photoshop is not designed like that. So, I mean, in this place, you know, I can just adjust my margins. I can say I want 0.8 at the top. Maybe I want to keep things at the top. My bottom, I say I want 0.7. Inside, I want 0.7. I want 0.7. I can increase it. I can decrease it. I think 0.7 is good here. Outside, I could say 0.75. All right. And then I click OK. Once you do that, this is applicable to all pages. And look, I can quickly demonstrate. Let me just quickly demonstrate. This is my brochure. All right. And trust me, this class is coming very soon. I just felt that there are some things I need to teach before I introduce us to this. I'll say Ctrl D. Let me see if I can get any image somewhere on my PC quickly. Surprisingly, I didn't put any image here. That's serious. Let me get one image. All right, so I've gotten one image, and then holding this frame, I'll press Ctrl D and then go to my download and then double click. Now you see it's filling it. I could say I want it like this. I could go to my view menu and I say I want my performance to be quality performance, so it's sharp. I could turn this to a text frame quickly. I click my text tool, click inside, and then go to my type menu and say it should place sometimes I'm even looking for this to fill with placeholder text. All right, and I could say I want 2 columns. You could see how easy you could get things done here. All right, I will quickly drag this down a bit and then kind of create like a title, something like this, and then put in a text and say InDesign brochure layouts, and I'll make it bigger. I just try to whet your appetite a bit, and trust me, we're coming soon and you're gonna love it. I'm assuring you that if you are able to do this with your bleeds around the way I've done it now, and you make sure that your bleed is exported with your file, when your printer is done producing this and the job is perfect bound, trust me, you are not losing any text. The reason you will not lose any text is because after considering your bleed, you have also considered your margins. You can't add only bleed without also considering your margin. It's very, very important. Your margins are as important as your bleed. I hope this has been meaningful. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you in my next video. Bye for now.